Now we need to go and look in families to find those people who may be sick and remove them and isolate them in a safe and dignified manner.
The World Health Organization put out questionable guidance on how to deal with the coronavirus. It was slow to communicate the magnitude of the threat, and it whitewashed the Chinese government's early handling of the crisis. It destroyed much of its credibility, damaged the field of public health, and failed to contain the pandemic.
Now is not the time. That's a bit too early to consider that this event is a public health emergency of international concern.
WHO's response in part stems from its overly deferential stance towards China, which is its second biggest contributor among 194 member states.
A phenomenal collective action and cooperation by the people of China to this response.
We would have seen many more cases outside China by now. The Chinese government is to be congratulated for the extraordinary measures it has taken to contain the outbreak.
WHO whitewashed the authoritarian government's overall record. It praised China for releasing the virus's genome while neglecting to mention that it took them at least 17 days to do so. It didn't report human-to-human transmission until late January, even though Chinese doctors suspected it at least a month earlier. Although the extreme lockdown of Wuhan likely did save thousands of lives, WHO scientists weren't allowed into Wuhan until 3 weeks after the outbreak first came to light. Meanwhile, the WHO praised the Chinese for their openness.
China took action massively at the epicenter, and that helped in preventing cases from being exported.
If we say there's a pandemic of coronavirus, we're essentially accepting that every human on the planet will be exposed to that virus. And China have clearly shown that that's not necessarily the natural outcome of this event.
As the virus continued spreading across Europe and reached America, WHO recommended that the travel industry maintain the status quo.
There is no reason for measures that unnecessarily interfere with international travel and trade.
One country that ignored this advice was Taiwan, which also warned the WHO that it suspected the virus was spreading through human-to-human transmission and was ignored. Taiwan, which has one of the lowest rates of known COVID infections per capita among countries impacted by the virus, was prevented from joining the WHO as a member country in 2015 by China, which refuses to acknowledge its independence.
Consider Taiwan's membership. Hello?
Sorry, I can't hear you. I couldn't hear your question.
Okay, yeah. Let me repeat the question.
No, that's okay. Let's move to another one then.
Right, because I'm actually curious on talking about Taiwan as well, on Taiwan's case.
We decided to give Dr. Alward another call to follow up.
And I just want to see if you can comment a bit on how Taiwan has done so far in terms of containing the virus.
Well, we've already talked about China, and when you look across all the different areas of China, they've actually all done quite a good job. So with that, I'd like to thank you very much for inviting us to participate.
In mid-February, the WHO trumpeted good news from China.
The data from China continue to show a decline in new confirmed cases. Once again, we're encouraged by this trend.
Ignoring evidence that it may have been a statistical anomaly, and U.S. intelligence believes that China has entirely misrepresented both case numbers and death tolls according to Bloomberg News. Finally, on March 11th, after Italy was already in full national lockdown with more than 10,000 cases, WHO finally acknowledged the true magnitude of the crisis, declaring a global pandemic.
COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic.
Pro-Taiwan Japanese politician Aso Taro blasted the World Health Organization for bowing to China and excluding Taiwan.
Speaking to Japanese lawmakers, the Deputy Prime Minister said the WHO should change its name to the CHO, or China Health Organization. He said being excluded from the global health body, Taiwan was driven to become a world leader in combating the coronavirus.
Along with China all the way. It's been outrageous. It's an astonishing thing. Very early on in the coronavirus crisis, we had China denying that there was much spread at all. They denied that it was possible even to transmit the virus from people to people. And all along the way, the World Health Organization's been holding their hands, completely repeating without qualification all of China's ludicrous claims. Now, it's a very legitimate line of questioning to pursue the World Health Organization's ties with China, which are not insubstantial. And they get a lot of money from China. The World Health Organization is looking towards a future where, say, the US, which I think donates around $900 million per year, is looking to halve that, so China's money becomes more critical. And they're just in China's pocket. It's embarrassing.
It's disgusting. It's costly for the rest of the world. Thanks for joining us, Tim. Appreciate it.
Unfortunately, the World Health Organization is in the pocket of China, Ed, and specifically Dr. Tedros. He was a cabinet minister in Ethiopia when China was investing deeply there and bribing cabinet officials. He has a well-known and frankly well-deserved reputation for corruption that's gone from Ethiopia now to the WHO.
Well, Senator, you just mentioned the director of the World Health Organization. He fired back yesterday. He had a warning for the president and maybe for you as well. Take a listen.
If you don't want many more body bags, then you refrain from politicizing it. My short message is, please quarantine politicizing COVID.
So he said, you keep this up, there's going to be more body bags. Is there a point there, regardless of the back and forth, that cutting off funding for a World Health Organization that has made mistakes clearly, but is trying to prevent future pandemics, that it could backfire on us?
Ed, I'm disgusted by that kind of threat from some two-bit, third-rate international bureaucrat. That's why Dr. Tedros needs to be fired. Frankly, he needs to be investigated so we can find out just how deeply in China's pocket he is.